arcade shooters, run and guns, shoot 'em ups, shmups, whatever you want to call them. They are some of my favorite games that I used to play heck of a lot growing up. I primarily played a lot of the Neo Geo ones via a MAME arcade emulator, and then I played a whole bunch of other games from like R-Type Final on the PS2, Cine Mora EX on the Switch, also available on PS4, Astro Breed. There's so many great games out there. I wanted to make this video be dedicated to one of my favorite YouTubers, RNGgamer, who is a huge fan of shmups and arcade shooters. I'm just going to use arcade shooters as an umbrella term. So, I am Mecha Otaku Gamer here. I am back at it again with another top 10 video. And today I'm going to share with you guys my favorite arcade shooters of old time. These are primarily going to be like horizontal and vertical style shoot 'em ups. I also have a couple of run and gun games from a very popular series, and then one towards the end, like my all-time favorite, is gonna probably be one that you are very surprised to see. I will have a lot of really great choices in here, so let's start off with number 10. That being a really great, like, top-down, vertical style, very popular shoot 'em up with a very unique mechanic where you could swap polarities, and that game being none other than Ikaruga, one of the hardest shmups out there. And I have to admit, as much as I really love this game, I absolutely suck at it. I can't even make it through the second level, let alone half the time I can't even make it through the first level. But this game is so much fun. I love the ship design. I even had one of the Kotobukiya model kits for the black version of the Ikaruga ship. And I love the graphics. This game was absolutely fantastic. I currently have it downloaded on my PlayStation 5. There was a more like modern remaster. Now this is the spiritual successor to a shmup from the Sega Saturn called Radiant Silvergun, which also got a modern like remaster port. I believe it's just on Nintendo Switch. But Ikaruga is made available on pretty much every modern console now. It originally came out, I believe, on Dreamcast, and then got ported to GameCube. Now, this is a really fun game where you switch between two different polarities, black and white, and you can absorb the bullets, and you have to swap polarities because some of the enemies are weak to a certain polarity, and there's epic boss fights at the end of each level, just like pretty much any other shmup where there's a boss fight at the end of each level. And this game, oh man, if this is number 10, then you guys are going to be surprised by what my other choices are. Also, I believe Ikaruga was developed by Treasure, which is a very well-known developer for shmups, and I don't really know how many levels this game has. Like I said, it's so hard that most people barely even make it past the first level, and if they do, then the second level is just going to be like complete hell. Okay, so now number 9, we got R-Type Final, which is funny how I mentioned that in my introduction. R-Type Final is another game that I kind of struggle with. Now, I'm not the greatest shmup player. I have yet to do a 1-credit clear. I know RNGgamer has done multiple 1-credit clears on multiple shmups, and R-Type Final is a really great game on the PlayStation 2. This one, you have like a crap ton of different ships with different weapon loadouts that you can use to fight against the mini bosses. I think there's like maybe five or six, maybe 7 levels, but each of the levels have like multiple phases to it with like mini bosses and then a huge epic boss at the end of each level. And it has really cool graphics for a PlayStation 2 game, and for a game that's called R-Type Final, it's kind of funny how it spawned two other sequels with R-Type Final 2 and then R-Type Final 3 Evolved, which those are on modern systems. And it would be awesome if maybe someday we could get like a R-Type Final HD trilogy collection with all three of the games. Now this is one that was developed by IREM, I believe. They're the ones that do the R-Type series. I haven't really gotten too big into the R-Type series. I know there's R-Type Delta on the PS1, and then there's like Super R-Type on the Super Nintendo. And I would love to be able to play some of the other R-Type games. I also have R-Type Command, but that is a tactical role-playing game on the PSP. It's not a shmup at all. But R-Type Final is a really great game, even though some of the it's like the third level that I kind of struggle with. I can make it to like the very end, and then it's like that final boss at the end of the level. It just really gets to me, but I still have a lot of fun playing this game. I love the way that the ships are designed and the way that it looks, and R-Type Final definitely deserves the number 8 spot. Number 7, we got a PS1 classic here, and this is Ray Storm, part of the Ray series, where you got like Ray Crisis and Ray Force. I know there's a modern version of these games. There's like the Ray Storm, Ray Crisis HD collection, but the one that you really would want is the Ray's arcade chronology that has all of the games, as well as a prototype of an unreleased game in the series. Now, this has, I believe it has a lock-on feature with where you can like unleash a bunch of like missiles or whatever. And this game has some really great music, something that I failed to mention about in the other two entries, which also have really great music. Now, shmups, I believe, have an underrated soundtrack to them. There are some games later on in the series, not series, but in this video, that will have some of the most killer music to it. And Ray Storm has a really cool ship design. There's also a Kotobukiya model kit of the main ship in Ray Storm that I'd love to get my hands on. I think it's called the R Gray 1. And this also has some really epic bosses, like you're seeing here, where you're over this like sunken city fighting this like giant ship airplane thing with like multiple different weapons, and you have like lasers and lightning attacks and missiles galore. And oh man, Ray Storm, it is a bit of a pricey game on the PS1, but it's well worth it. Okay, next up, got one of my favorite SNK Neo Geo games, and this is one I believe goes a little bit under the radar. This could be considered maybe a hidden gem. This is Prehistoric Isle 2, where you take on the role of a helicopter pilot who is tasked with taking on an invasion from the prehistoric era. You are fighting dinosaurs, these giant insects, and all sorts of other weird, creepy creatures from the ancient times. And it has a kind of a unique mechanic where some levels you have to like defend people that you also have to rescue throughout the level, and you have all sorts of different power-ups. Now, this game, I do absolutely suck at it a lot. It can be quite difficult if you're not like super skilled, like my like RNGgamer is. He is I bet he would be able to one credit clear this game if he were to play it. Actually, I'm not even sure if he has played this game, but Prehistoric Isle is a really great Neo Geo game. I played this a lot growing up. I've probably put like hundreds of hours into this game on that MAME arcade emulator that I had. I just absolutely love it. I just recently got it downloaded on my PlayStation 5 as part of the Arcade Archives series, which there's a whole lot of really great Neo Geo games available through that, and I'm glad that Prehistoric Isle was one of them. It also has a really unique sound, well, not unique, but it has a pretty okay soundtrack. I also like the different dinosaurs that you get to fight, from like the different pterodactyls, pterosaurs, raptors, T-Rexes, triceratops, as well as like, actually I don't even think there's any Stegosaurus in this game. I don't really remember, but you have a wide variety of levels, from a cityscape to a forest to a swamp to above the trees, a volcanic area, as well as kind of like an ancient coastline, all leading up to the grand final boss where you're fighting off against this giant alien thingamajig. Yeah, so if you haven't played Prehistoric Isle 2, I highly recommend it. And next up, got a really bizarre top-down vertical shmup here that I played a lot on the Nintendo Wii via the Milestone Ultimate Shooting Collection, and this is Raider G, also known as Radio Allergy in Japan, and this has a really unique art style to it. It's cel-shaded, and I believe it's just like one big long level as you're playing as this like high school girl who's piloting this mech, and she's like trying to make her way to some area, and there's big epic boss fights in between, and you also have like a melee weapon where you can like swipe away at certain bullets that are on the screen. You also have a shield that when you're not shooting, the shield will pop up and can protect you from most enemy attacks. And then you have like different power-ups that can power up your shot to be able to cover like the entire screen. And this is a bullet hell shooter, a really fun, quirky bullet hell shooter. I also really like the soundtrack in this game, and I would love to be able to play more of the Radio Allergy series. I know there's like Raider G2, which is available on PS4 and PS5, and there's also the Illmatic Envelope, which has a Raider G game on it available on Nintendo Switch. And Illmatic Envelope is another game created by the same people that made this game. And if you're a big fan of cel-shaded games, I highly recommend playing this, even though it is super quirky and just super weird, and the controls can take some time to get used to. But this game is so much fun, and I just couldn't live with myself if I forget to mention Raider G. Okay, I honestly kind of lost track where I'm at. I will have like somewhere pop up to let you know which number this is, but this is one of my favorite shmups on the PlayStation 2, which also has kind of a modern HD remaster. This is Raiden 3, and this is a really fun vertical shoot 'em up where you have different weapons. You have like this green laser thing that when you're moving along on the screen, the laser like wiggles around and just attacks the enemies. Then you have just your basic like Vulcan shot, and then you have like a basic straight laser, and then you have like homing missiles. Has really big epic boss fights, and the Raiden series is highly popular in my opinion. I don't think any of the games have really gone under the radar. And this is one game where I got kind of close to getting that one credit clear, but I ended up getting like a game over kind of like late in the game. There's also so many different modes and difficulties down to where you can even make it to where the enemies don't even shoot you, so that way you can kind of understand the layout of each of the levels, and then you can like slowly ramp up the difficulty to where you wind up mastering this game. I feel like this game can be pretty easy to master if you put the time into it. I really like the Raiden series. I've played Raiden 3 here, obviously, and then I've played Raiden 5. I think I've even played a little bit of Raiden 4. I don't remember what consoles the first two games released on. But Raiden 3, out of all of them, is my favorite. I love the different levels in this game. I love the way that this looks, even on the PlayStation 2. This is a really great looking game. Highly recommend it if you haven't played any of the Raiden series at all. And if you don't have a PlayStation 2, luckily it is available on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. Not so sure about Xbox. Maybe it's also available on Steam. But anyway, either way, I would highly recommend it. So next up is one of my favorite shooters from Psycho. This is Zero Gunner 2. I played the heck out of this on the Nintendo Switch, and then I had the Psycho shooting library, one of the ones on the PlayStation 4. This is a really great, almost like a twin stick style shoot 'em up. You have these different helicopters, and you're able to like change the direction of where you're shooting at, as well as fighting against ginormous bosses that have like multiple phases to them. Each boss fight has at least like 2 phases where it's like a ship and then it transforms into like a mech for the final phase. And it also has a really cool soundtrack. The final boss, I believe, has like 3 or 4 phases to it. There's like several levels in this game, and the graphics look absolutely amazing. I don't really know when this game came out. Part of me wants to say that it originally came out on like the Dreamcast, I believe, or maybe that was the first Zero Gunner game that came out around that era. But whenever it did came out, it is a great looking game that still holds up to this day. I absolutely love Zero Gunner. I love how you're able to maneuver your helicopter around to the enemies and the bosses in order to shoot them at different angles, and I like the wide variety of different stages that are in this game, from like fighting up in the mountains to above the ocean and a sea of clouds to a sunken city and then like a military base. Really great kind of twin stick shooter style shmup. I could be completely wrong on that, but either way, it's a really fun shmup. Okay, this is another really great Neo Geo SNK horizontal shoot 'em up. This is the sequel to another kind of like hidden gem type shmup called Pulse Star. This is Blazing Star. This is another game that I played the hell out of on that MAME arcade emulator. Put hundreds, almost thousands of hours into this game. Still holds up to this day. I love the art style of this game. I love the different ships. There's so many different ships that you can play as. The boss fights, they're timed, and if you're able to like beat the boss within that timer, you're able to get like a huge bonus. You also have these like little lucky emblems that you can pick up in order to get a bonus at the end of the level. And this game is all about kind of like getting a really high score, and you're taking on a wide variety of different enemies, from like mechs and ships and other weird looking alien vehicles and whatnot. I think you are trying to like defend the planet from like an alien invasion or something. I don't really know what the story is with this game. All I know is that it is absolutely fun. It also has some very cringy English in it. You did clearly tell that the people who did the localization for this game didn't really care about like having proper English grammar, especially when you have the warning towards the end of the level that lets you know that a big boss fight is about to come. There's some really cringy English dialogue there. But besides that, this game is heck of a lot of fun, and it has a really bizarre, really creepy kind of final boss where you're fighting an alien humanoid embryo inside of its mother's womb, and it takes on multiple different forms. Like at one point it has like guns for arms, and it's just absolutely crazy. I love Blazing Star so much. I've spent hundreds, thousands of hours. And next up, got Metal Slug 3, which I've already talked about before in a dedicated Metal Slug video, but Metal Slug 3 is my all-time favorite in the series. And I consider this to be along the lines of the other shmups in this game. This is more of a run and gun on foot style. The Metal Slug series is highly popular. It's one of SNK's best series out there, next to like their fighting game franchises, which some of these characters have made cameos in the like Fatal Fury and King of Fighters series. I absolutely love Metal Slug 3, and it's kind of a direct sequel to, well, actually it is a direct sequel to Metal Slug 2, where you take on the Rebel Army as well as the Martians that have come back to invade Earth again, and you also are taking on like giant crabs and giant locusts throughout a wide variety of different areas, from a jungle to like a desert area. You also have zombies in the second level. You could turn into a zombie, and man, if you guys haven't played any of the Metal Slug games, I highly recommend Metal Slug 3. It is one of the absolute best, next to like Metal Slug Double X and Metal Slug 6. It also has a really great first boss with the giant hermit that has these giant tank cannons on it. I just love how funny these games are. Like they're both serious and very goofy, and I would love to see Metal Slug make a grand return. I know there's the Metal Slug Tactics game that came out, but I really want a brand new like run and gun Metal Slug game. Okay, so this is my all-time favorite arcade shooter. This is an isometric run and gun shmup called Shot Trooper Second Squad, and this is a hidden gem. Man, I don't know anyone out there that will rave about how great this game as much as I will right now. I just really love this game. You're taking on a squad. Well, you get to play as a squad of four people. You have Angel, Leon, Lulu, and Toy. So you got like 2 girls and 2 guys. And funny thing about this is I actually kind of thought Lulu was a dude up until like a few years ago, when I finally figured out that Lulu's actually a girl. So yeah, kind of funny story about that. Did not realize that she has small boobas. Yeah, but my favorite character of all time in this game is obviously Angel, because she just looks absolutely hot. She is also pretty amazing. And just like in the Metal Slug series, you have vehicles that you can hop into, from a tank to a truck with a quad cannon to this orange mech here. And there's like 7 unique levels in this game. There's some branching paths after the first level, so you get to choose between one path with 2 different levels and then another path, and you're fighting against this evil corporation called Dio, and they have a huge mass army of different soldiers and tanks and vehicles and giant weapons in order to try and take over the entire world. And it also has a banging soundtrack. I freaking love the soundtrack in this game. It is one of the best gaming soundtracks that I've ever heard. The first stage in this game has one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire game and in the entire genre. And if you haven't played this, luckily it is available on the Arcade Archives on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. I highly recommend Shock Trooper Second Squad. It is my all-time favorite arcade shooter. And that's pretty much it. There isn't really much else I can really talk about this game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video for whatever it is, and once again, it is dedicated to RNGgamer, who's an absolute amazing YouTuber. I will put a link to his channel in the description below. So, thank you guys for watching. I am Mecha Otaku Gamer, signing out. Peace.